Hi guys, today we're going to be taking a look at the kit of a Sapper in 5th Field Company Royal Engineers, part of the British 2nd Division, on their move into Germany on the 11th of December 1918, a month on from the armistice. 5th Field Company arrived in the German town of Bickerath on this date, just 31 miles or 50 kilometres to the east of Liège, as the crow flies. 5th Field Company was a regular army unit and had been with the 2nd Division since its move to France with the BEF at the start of the war. And the uniform worn is the standard service dress of the period, with 1908 web equipment in marching order. Everything has been smartened up a bit by this period, so the brasses of the uniform are clean, and the soft service cap is being worn in preference to the helmet, complete with Royal Engineers cap badge. To the rear, the haversack for the small box respirator is worn above the pack, with the shoulder strap looped down through the waist belt. Here we have the SBR haversack, which of course contains the respirator, face piece and filter or canister, you can see here, and also in the bottom we have a box. As usual, we have the box containing the Glasso anti-dimming compound in there, and also on the tube, as you'll have seen in my other videos, and this you have the little record card and repair kit that goes in there. And if you want to see more information on that, there is a video on my channel detailing that, which I will put the card in the video linking to. To the front, the pair of cartridge carriers for the 303 ammunition in 5-round charges are worn. And of course the contents of the ammunition carriers will be looked at now. These are not fully loaded. Many photographs I've seen from the time period, the end of the war, the occupation of Germany, the pouches are fastened on the lower stud, although they do seem to be carrying something, so they're carrying 5 or 10 rounds rather than 15, so 2 charges. We have 2 charges of ammunition in here to show. Mark II and a Mark III charger there. On the back, the pack is worn with the helmet and mess tins carried using the supporting straps. Right, next we're going to take a look at the pack contents, which first of all requires the helmet to be removed from the outside. We'll do that now. Unbuckle the supporting straps. There we go. With those there, we can take the helmet off. We can also remove the mess tin, which, due to the slightly increased load being carried in the pack, it's very common this time of war to see these slung underneath the pack or from the haversack, more commonly underneath the pack, so they're out of the way on the back. So helmet's fully out of the way, and bring the pack back in. The supporting straps underneath the flap, we have the waterproof, the Mark VII waterproof, the ground sheet, which of course by this point has the triangular section added to it, so it can be used as a cape. I will be doing a separate video to look at the details of that soon, but it's folded over to give some waterproofing to the pack. So we have that folded there, and then this section over the top under the flap to give some waterproofing. Next we have the cap comforter, the ubiquitous British Army cap comforter. It's obviously issued right the way through career, and right the way, I think the Royal Marines still use something similar to this, a woolly hat. Then we have, if we look how well packed, sort of tightly packed this is in here, spare pair of khaki socks. You can see there. The soldier's hold-all, which I'll unknot here. And this is typical contents. I do have videos on this elsewhere on my channel, which I'll put a card link to in the video. But we have tooth powder, soap, shaving brush, razors, nail scissors, comb, toothbrush and spare bootlaces, and a bit of toilet paper in there as well. So just to rattle through those quickly. Then if we go down the side again, we have, get this out, towel, and a hussif, which is obviously a little sewing kit. I'll just knot here. There we go, so we've got needles and spare buttons and things in there for repairing, reattaching buttons and doing little repairs to the uniform. And the final item, which should just slide out now, in theory, whoop, and knock the camera over in the process, is the single-breasted Other Ranks greatcoat, which I'm not going to unpack from this little pack I've got it into, but from what I've read on various sources online, the way of getting this into the pack is to squeeze it down as small as you can by kicking and punching, and then it's not uncommon to use the back belt to keep it all together. And I have to say that works very well, keeps it nicely together as a little unit there, a little roll which slips sideways into the pack quite nicely. So that is the prescribed pack contents with the addition of the ground sheet. Continuing down, on the right hip the water bottle is carried, and to the rear the head of the entrenching tool is carried behind the mess tins. And on the left hip the helve for the entrenching tool, the bayonet and the haversack are carried. Next we'll take a look at the contents of the haversack. Unbuckle this here, and as this is being worn in marching order, the haversack's being used for its intended role in carrying rations. It also contains the knife, fork and spoon. I can dig these out here. They're prescribed to be carried in the haversack, so you have the knife, fork and spoon in there. Put those off to one side. And the ration bag which contains in this instance the iron ration for late war. Well, the late war, it actually came in quite early war, this reduced iron ration, but we have the grocery portion, which consists of sugar and tea, as you can see there. More focus, there we go. Army biscuit, which is holding up quite well really, considering it's get bashed around in here, with a tin of bully beef, and then a tin of corned beef in there as well. And you can see the biscuit in the bottom there. From what I've read, I think I've said this before, the biscuit was intended to be carried in the ration bag, but a lot of people seem to have carried the tin and the grocery portion in there as well to keep it all together, keep it neat. Some of the biscuits broken up, but it's not too bad. There's a few crumbs in the bottom, but it's holding together quite well really, all things considered. So my Repro iron ration there. And that's the haversack contents. Finally, getting to the bottom of the uniform, we see the ubiquitous puttees and B5 ankle boots. Next we can take a look at the uniform details. We have the basic service dress uniform, and the insignia being worn consists of Royal Engineers shoulder titles. And on the left cuff, 2 good conduct badges are worn, which represent 6 years good conduct. And beneath these a wound stripe formed from a 2-inch strip of Russian braid is worn, which indicates the soldier represented has been wounded on active service. On the right cuff, overseas service chevrons are worn, the red indicating service during 1914, with a blue chevron for each subsequent year of the war. Underneath the service dress jacket, a knitted wool cardigan is worn against the cold, and under this, the standard issue grey wool flannel shirt is worn. So as usual, we have the jacket pocket contents to have a look at again, and again I've put some representative pieces in here. We have the soldier's paybook, active service and paybook, upside down in the pocket there, but in the top right breast pocket, and also in there, little notebook, come wallet. It's got a notebook in there, a little wallet, and pencil stowed in there as well. And then in the other pocket, get in here, get this unfastened. Have the issue clasp knife, and this is an earlier war, well, it's a post-war made example, but this is to the earlier war pattern, not one of the ersatz patterns, so carried through the war. Pack of Golden Dawn cigarettes. There's only a few left in there, and of course to light them, a box of matches, Finlay's red tip matches, which I believe are period, box of those. So there we are. A field dressing is carried in the small dressing pocket in the skirts of the jacket. Identity discs are worn, a red and green example by this point in the war, and a coin is also worn as a charm, and wearing charms attached to your identity discs, personalisation was not an uncommon thing to do. Finally, under everything else, underwear consists of grey wool flannel drawers and khaki wool socks. So I hope you found that interesting. As I always say, that was just a look at the kit worn in full marching order, and this is obviously to represent a soldier towards the end of the war. Royal Engineers field companies were equipped much as infantry, so this would be fairly representative for infantry soldiers as well at the time on their move into Germany. Obviously everything smartened up a little bit. Certainly photographs show many men marching in with their service dress headgear worn as opposed to the steel helmet, obviously to give more of a regimental appearance and a smarter appearance. So there it is. Until next time, bye for now.